late getting started this morning. A lot of other people are too. So we'll try to go through this kind of quick, but if you have any questions about anything, just stop and let me know, ask about it. So recapping Proverbs 14. Maybe. That's all I was doing anyway, just waiting on you. Came in just in time.
It's just, it changes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, here we go. So every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. So again, we're talking about building a house. Think like a family, the house of David, the house of Abraham, the house of, you name it. But it's not necessarily building as with tools, although I'm sure they could help. But the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. I went over a couple ways last week where, guys need women to help with households, and especially like this, in ways that they can pluck that down. But the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. He that walketh in his uprightness feareth the Lord, but he that is perverse in his ways despiseth him. So where is the beginning of wisdom, or knowledge, or understanding? Where does it all start? Who said it? Heard somebody say it. Now everybody's whispering.
There's two things, fear and the knowledge of the...
Being wise.
It all starts at the fear of the Lord. That's where it comes through. So he that walketh in his uprightness feareth the Lord, but he that is perverse in his ways despiseth him. In the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride, but the lips of the wise shall preserve them. Here's that weird one. The one that can mean a couple different things on here, but I think we got it pretty good. We all seem to see it the way that I thought it was. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much increase is by the strength of the ox. So, you want a nice clean crib where the ox are, or where they are. You don't want a filthy, dirty barn stall. But at the same time, if you need the ox to do a lot of things you can gain by the strength of the ox. So, what happens when you have the ox? It is going to dirty the stall with that. So I was thinking the crib is clean could mean food. If there's no oxes there, you don't need food to make them eat. But it's more so, you're going to need a lot of labor from the ox, and coming with that, you're going to have to clean the stall as well. So if you have to work a little bit more for stuff, sometimes it's for the greater good of the better things you need, the bigger and better things that you can need. And a faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness will utter lies. A scorner seeketh wisdom and findeth it not, but knowledge is easy unto him that understandeth. Go from the presence of a foolish man, when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge. You ever been hanging around somebody and you're just like, this guy's kind of an idiot. Or this girl's kind of an idiot. I mean, it's bad to say, but so like some guys, and let's modernize this. Let's go to YouTube videos. I mean, you guys watch a lot of YouTube videos.
No, I don't watch videos, though. Every once in a while.
Every once in a while. So I was listening to just different like preachers and stuff yesterday. And I rarely ever do that, and this is exactly why. So the guy gets up there and he was talking about how, you know what I mean by polyamorous relationships. Sorry to get this deep this early in it, but polygamy is what it's talking about. He said, for those of you experimenting with that in your relationship to revive it, I want you to know that according to God and as a minister of Christ, your relationship is holy. I was like, interesting. I want to see where he goes with this one. He was like, if you are also in a homosexual relationship, then your relationship is holy. And I was like, is this like a bait and switch? I was waiting for him to come back with a point to show like, oh, he got us by making us think that. But no, and he kept going on with it. And he said, no, you have God in the Old Testament when he put the people in the garden, Adam and Eve, and then he said, don't eat of the tree. So he made us in our image, but then gave us immediate demands. And then the serpent came and said, no, you can't eat of the tree, you won't die. It's like, well, later on you have Jesus coming through saying the same thing, that he would like for you to repent, but he broke the Greek word down. Repent means like metanoia, yeah. And it just means like to know from your sins, more so expand your mind with that. And I was like, whew, okay, we're getting a little deep here. And then he just kept going on and on about how the truth changes, the truth is all of that. And the way he did it, you can make the gospel mean literally whatever you want it to mean. Like you can make anything about the Bible say whatever you want it to say. And so I was like, I should turn this dude off, but it's just so interesting to see how silly some people are to go and all that. That is exactly what Gnosticism is. Not agnostic, Gnosticism. And that is exactly why they had a big war over that in the church when it first started out. And then that is also why all Luciferianism comes from Gnosticism. Because it's just to do as thou wilt. And they make the serpent the hero for, expanding the knowledge in our minds and all that. But, yeah. Anyway, go from the presence of a foolish man, should just turn it off. And wouldn't even be thinking about it anymore up here. So, the wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. Fools make a mock at sin, kind of like that dude. But among the righteous there is favor. I would hate to be that guy on Judgment Day. He said also he doesn't believe in hell anymore. I was like, okay, well, I'm no use in debating or even talking to you about stuff. If you're not going to read the Bible or believe it, what are we even debating? The heart knoweth his own bitterness, and the stranger doth not intermeddle with his joy. The house of the wicked shall be overthrown, but the tabernacle of the upright shall flourish. So the first one, the heart knoweth his own bitterness. You ever acted happy when you were really sad? People just acted like you were okay when you weren't. And the stranger doth not intermeddle with his joy. Have you ever been really happy and people didn't know why and they looked at you like you were crazy? This is what it's kind of talking about here. You're in charge of the way that you feel on a lot of things. And a lot of it can be influenced by other people. But at the same time, they're not going to know what makes you sad if you don't want them to. And they're not going to know why you're so happy if you don't want them to. So it's more so you're in control of your emotions and how you feel with that. And again, the house of the wicked shall be overthrown. If you don't know by this point, Proverbs only says it 25 times. The house of the wicked's going down. This thing is not going to stand and make it too long. But the house of the upright or tabernacle shall flourish. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. I have this really, really cool painting, but I can't make it big enough to really break it down. But man, this one just goes into so much detail. It's really cool. We'll look at it one day. Even in laughter the heart is sorrowful, and the end of that mirth is heaviness. The backslider in heart shall be filled with his own ways, and a good man shall be satisfied from himself. A backslider in heart shall be filled with his own ways. I'll use myself as an example. I've spent a lot of my life, the majority of it, especially in the younger years, figuring out what made me happy, what made me feel cool, all these different things. And eventually that stopped working. So you got to think of new, bigger, and better ways to get that. And then, thank God, I made it, out of all that, virtually unscathed even. It's crazy. It's a miracle how all that happened. But, and then sometimes this gets us little lulls where you're just not as happy as you should be. You're not as on fire, happy like you once were to come with everything. And so you start being like, well, that used to make me happy. Should you go back to that? And even though you're not, it's the backslider in heart. You start feeling your own ways again. You start being like, well, maybe a good fight will make me feel better. Maybe I should just flirt but not really do anything. And then you got to keep control of yourself. And this one says, a good man shall be satisfied from himself. And that's where I kind of think, like, you'll know that what you want to do is not good. And you'll know that what you're doing is on the right track. And just because you feel a little weird right now or it's in a little lull, you're still satisfied from yourself. I'm still look at how far I've came, and I'm like, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm doing pretty good. Oh, so I'm not having like rock star fun. it's fine because sometimes I do have rock star fun doing this, and it's way cooler because it's clean and you don't have to watch your back or worry about all these other things that come with it. This one is actually clean, straightforward, and you can have way better awesome time and awesome feelings doing this stuff. So, the simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. Y'all ever been lied to before? A wise man feareth and departeth from evil, but the fool rageth and is confident. Has that liar ever really thought they were right? You ever have people that are really wrong, but they would fight you over it? This is kind of what it's saying here. And he that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hatred. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. So he that is soon angry dealeth foolishly. Have you ever wondered why fighters talk smack to each other to try to make the other one mad? And someone who doesn't know anything about it, you would think that would be the least thing you would want to do is make the guy you're about to fight mad. But no, you want to make him as mad as possible so they come out like a crazy horse and they're not thinking clearly. It's way easier to fight somebody who's really mad than it is to fight someone who's thinking and composed and doing everything. So this one says, don't be mad because you're going to act silly when you do get mad. Control your temper. The evil bow before the good, and the wicked at the gates of righteousness. The poor is hated even among his own neighbor, but the rich hath many friends. He that despiseth his neighbor sinneth, but he that hath mercy on the poor, he is happy. So this one kind of comes in, and it'll come in later a little bit too. Rich and poor, you're going to the same place. So it's not really an idea, or it's not really a good idea to hate somebody just because they are poor. I don't know how anybody can do that anyway. Does anybody know anybody that just hates people because they're poor, that hate poor people? I know there's some rich people that are snooty and look down on them, but even still, I'll see them they donate to charities and clothes and all that stuff. Why you talk crap about poor people and then you give them stuff? I don't know. Maybe they do that just to make themselves feel good, but it seems like a weird thing, but I know it happens. I know it's out there. Do they not err that devise evil? But mercy and truth shall be to them that devise good. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury, and that is poverty. The crown of the wise is their riches, but the foolishness of fools is folly. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to poverty. How many people have ever talked themselves super rich without doing any work? There's a whole lot of people out there that can do it, but I haven't met too many people that have. But in all labor, there is profit. So let's look at modern day labor. You have a pothole, and there you have the city director, the county director of roads, the director of safety, the assistant minister's director of safety, the police deputy, the police chief of safety, the police coordinator of roads, and one guy down there to actually fix the pothole. Government work at its finest. But in all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to poverty, penury. So you spent $10 worth of concrete, one guy, he can go out there and fix the hole, and now you just paid the salaries of about 8 people to go check it out. How smart are we, America? Look at us. My, how far we've came. A true witness delivereth souls, but a deceitful witness speaketh lies. And the fear of the Lord is strong confidence, and his children shall have a place of refuge. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. Again, the fear of the Lord is a whole bunch of things in this. Fear of the Lord is strong confidence, and the fear of the Lord is a fountain of life. It's also the beginning of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. That's a hard push right there. In the multitude of people is the king's honor, but in the want of people is the destruction of the prince. He that is slow to wrath is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly. A sound heart is the life of flesh, but envy the rottenness of the bones. Slow to wrath is of great understanding. Again, like we were talking about earlier, when you get mad is the worst time ever to make decisions. So you should always stop, take a step back. I don't really have anger problems. I fortunately have never had a really temper and anger. But I've seen a lot of people that do. And they do some really dumb, silly stuff. You ever seen people punch a brick wall and they get mad and break their wrist or their hand. Even as a kid, I was like, dude, that wall, why would you hit a wall? It's going to hurt you way worse than the wall. Hit the person that made you mad more than that. But a lot of people did it. I mean, I've got mad at video games and like throwing a controller and it broke. And you'd be like, no, why did I do that? That's my only controller. And you got to wait a week to get another one. But no goods ever come from mad. The last time I got mad, I remember it. I was kind of running late for class. I had a test that day in college. I was like, no. So I go out there. It's snow on the ground. It's really cold. I'm wiping all the snow off my car. I'm sliding around on the ice because it gets real icy and snowy where I was in Cookville. And then I go in to start my car. Car doesn't start. I was like, of course, the one time I really in a hurry, my car doesn't start. So I get it, I mess with my battery terminals, go back in, doesn't start. And I just got a new battery like maybe a week before that. So I get out of my car, go over to my battery, and I just start punching it as hard as I can. Battery acid going everywhere, plastic, my knuckles are bleeding like crazy or I'm just getting cut. And I was like, well, now there's absolutely no way my car is going to start because I just busted the battery into like 15 different pieces. So I got mad, called my friend, he came and got me. I was late to the test, but I still got to take it and pass it and all that. And I had to go buy a brand new battery. So that little spat of anger caused me to be super late, caused somebody else to have to come deal with me. And my knuckles were cut up really bad, and it hurt, and got battery acid in them. So they're sterile, I guess, but it's a weird time. So I was like, this is why getting angry is stupid. This is why I don't do this very often. I remember now. Gotcha. He that oppresseth the poor reproach his maker, but he that honoreth him hath mercy on the poor. The wicked is driven away in his wickedness, but the righteous hath hope in his death. I want hope in my death, so I want to be righteous. Wisdom resteth in the heart of him that hath understanding, but that which is in the midst of fools is made known. And righteousness exalteth the nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. What do you think? Are we exalted nation right now? Why?
Sin.
Yeah. It says right there in Proverbs, righteousness exalteth the nation. I don't think anybody's looking at America as the beacon of what they want everything to be. So, we're the only team where Olympians protested the country that sent them to the Olympics that they went to do that for. That's a laughing stock. That is the one time you do not do that, and they did it anyway. You should have known that was going to happen. You should have had damage control standing by waiting for that one. The king's favor is toward a wise servant, but his wrath is against him that causeth shame. So again, I mean, yeah, that's the Olympic one. That's what we were just talking about. The king's favor is toward a wise servant, but his wrath is against him that causeth shame. Send a servant over there, causes us shame. I hope those people never go to the Olympics again, but nowadays, who knows? Anyway, that was Proverbs 14. Moving on to 15. So this one, for some reason, I dubbed this the chapter of the senses. It tells all about different senses and how to control them and stuff. But when I was putting together the PowerPoint, kind of got a little weird with the pictures that I was using for these senses. So I went back and changed a little bit of them. So if the pictures are kind of not as up to par as they normally are, just because I didn't want to make it like of mouths and ears and noses and eyes, because it got kind of grotesque, if you know what I mean by the term grotesque. Not like gross, but like, oh, that's kind of weird. So here we go. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Have you ever made a situation worse by what you said about the situation? And they said, oh yeah. Yeah, some things you need a soft answer. Then it'll turn away the wrath, snipping the fuse on the dynamite, so to speak. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. And we've heard that before. Fools, they're not going to spit out smart stuff. Every now and then, they'll throw you a little nugget of knowledge from foolishness, but most of the time there should be used to what not to do as opposed to what to do. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. I've heard it said, and I didn't like immediately dismiss it, but I didn't, bite it as doctrine before that. When Jesus was on the cross and he said, Father, why hast thou forsaken me, right? Everybody's like, why would God forsake him while he was down there doing that? And in that moment, Jesus took on all of our sins as he's on the cross dying. And I've heard it said that the reason he couldn't feel God for the first time there is because God cannot or won't see sin. And I was like, I mean, he kicked the devil out of heaven for sinning. I guess he saw that and he punished the sinners. But maybe there's more to it and you just don't have time to explain it to me. I'm going to keep going. But every time I hear this again, I'm just going to show them this verse. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. I think you can look at your son taking on evil if that's the case. But, yeah, you're always being watched. How does that make you feel? You said it before, God's always watching you when you think nobody else is. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. A fool despiseth his father's instructions, but he that regardeth proof is prudent. In the house of the righteous is much treasure, but in the revenues of the wicked is trouble. So you can make a lot of money, but you always got to worry about the money. If it's coming in, where it's coming from, who else is after this money. And a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. What does it mean to breach? What's a breach?
Break in the walls.
Yeah. So like if there's a dam and it has a crack in it, it's called a breach. So you gotta plug it, you gotta watch it out. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein, I can listen to all kinds of Bible all day long, just the whole Bible playing. That's fine. I started listening to Homeboy yesterday. I'll preach. Now I'm thinking differently about the different Bible stuff. Fortunately, I was immediately like, okay, everything this guy says is the dumbest stuff I've ever heard in my life. But as it kept going with it, I was like, that's what they mean by a breach in the spirit. Just one little thing can sneak in there. You start thinking one way about it, and that leaves more room for other errors. That's why doctrine is important. That's why you got to know what you believe and stand on it. The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, but the heart of the foolish doth not so. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is an abomination unto the Lord, but he that loveth him that followeth after righteousness. So the heart of the foolish. There we go. Again, with don't be wise, don't listen to these people with their lips or their heart. And the sacrifice of the wicked. What's an example of the sacrifice of the wicked?
Abortion.
Ooh, that's a good one. Abortion, kind of. It's human sacrifice, isn't it? I mean, we don't there's no bells and whistles and all this other stuff like they used to have back in the day with statues and all that. Here's what I want to see a documentary do. If you want to get a real documentary in there, follow an abortion from start to finish. You know, a woman's pregnant, she walks into the abortion clinic, has the abortion, follow it. Where's it going? What's happening to it? Bet you can't find it. I bet you can't find one thing that shows where those things are going after it. Who knows? What if they are doing some weird stuff in the woods with like a big owl statue like Bohemian Grove, but sprinkling like abortion? I don't know what they are. I'm sure there's I've seen some weird stuff. That wouldn't surprise me one bit if they're doing a little bit of that, some stuff. Correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. Hell and destruction are before the Lord, how much more than the hearts of the children of men? A scorner loveth not one that reproveth him, neither will he go unto the wise. So again, how many times have you been told that you're wrong? And even though you are wrong, you didn't like how you were told you were wrong, so you didn't change or you didn't fix it. It's spite. It's kind of what a scorner is. So you don't like being told that you're doing something wrong or corrected, even if it's going to help you significantly. People tell me all the time when I'm using an axe, dude, use a chainsaw. I'm like, no, I like doing this for a workout and all that. And then they're like done with an acre. I'm on like the third tree or something. But a scorner loveth not one that reprove him, neither will he go unto the wise. A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance. Gary says this all the time. But by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. So the spirit is broken. There's another breach. It comes from a sad heart. In sorrow, in moments of sadness, you are kind of a little more vulnerable. That's why it always says give them strong, help these people that are really hurting and sorrowful of heart. Even somewhere in the Old Testament says give them strong drink. How about that? That's one of the 3 times the Bible gives permission to drink in the Old Testament. But they know it hurts. Even back then in Proverbs, back in a long time ago, they had broken hearts and it hurts, and that's why they were very careful. But by sorrow of the heart, the spirit is broken. You don't have the drive to get out and go save souls if you're in a broken heart type of place. So, gotta watch out for that. And this one says, the heart of him that hath understanding seeketh knowledge, but the mouth of the fools feedeth on foolishness. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but he that is of a merry heart hath continual feast. So, again, before that we read last time, you're more in control of how you feel. If you're sad or if you're happy. If you're sad, be sad, get help. We're humans. We've all fixed sad people before. All of us here. We're all here, we're humans. We've all helped happy people before. Be happier and all of that. So don't hide it. More so, go out, get the help you need. Church is an amazing place to start with that. To get your spirit, to keep your spirit from being broken. That's what we care about. Better is little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith. So it could have just said this one instead of all that other rich stuff. But better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure that comes with trouble. If I got to do a lot of shady stuff to get my money, and everybody wants to come and get my money because they know all the shady stuff that happened, that's way worse than just getting a job and getting a paycheck and going to church. Way worse. That's a horrible lifestyle. But better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a stalled ox and hatred therewith. A wrathful man stirreth up strife, but he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife. So this is what's going on. Just saying, what's really important? A big feast and riches, or the fear of the Lord and herbs? How do you measure importance? How do you scale it? How do you measure that? The way of the slothful man is an hedge of thorns, but the way of the righteous is made plain. A wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish man despiseth his mother. Folly is joy to him that is destitute of wisdom, but a man of understanding walketh uprightly. Y'all can go walk through that one if you want to. It's a hedge of thorns. Why would the way of the slothful be a hedge of thorns? There's not a lot of people going that way, and they're too lazy to clean it. Metaphorically, right? Yeah. So the slothful is just, it hurts to do things the way of lazy and slow people sometimes, because like me, they don't want to cut trees with an axe. That's not necessarily slothful or lazy, but when there's way better ways to do it. If I was getting paid to do it, I would do it with a chainsaw. If I'm just clearing on my own, why not get a workout in too and feel rugged and pioneery with it? That's what I like to do. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. This is why the counselors are important. Think like-minded people to get decisions. A man hath joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season. How good is it? The way of life is above to the wise, that he may depart from the hell beneath. So here it gives directions to it a little bit. Way of life above to the wise, and hell beneath the wise. I meant to say this the other night when I was talking about the Tower of Babel and trivia. What did God say to the other person? He said, let us go down and see what they have made, meaning that God is up. So that's where you get all these directions and things from. And we can go with the veils or the different realms and all that, and I kind of lean that way, but it does say let us go down to it. I thought that was neat. The Lord will destroy the house of the proud, but he will establish the border of the widow. The thoughts of the wicked are an abomination to the Lord, but the words of the pure are pleasant words. He that is greedy of gain troubleth his own house, but he that hateth gifts shall live. You ever seen the movie, I think it was Boiler Room, where this guy wants to get rich so bad he gives his life savings to this guy to invest it for him. And there's a scam company, and so the guy loses it all, and his family leaves him and just because he wanted to get rich and live better for him. But the guy feels bad for him in the end when they're about to get busted, and he signs it and gives all his money back. So nice little side story on all that. But if you're greedy of gain, I'm sure a lot of times your family would rather have you there with them than out working all the time just to get money for it. So the heart of the righteous studieth to answer, but the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he that heareth the prayer of the righteous. The light of the eyes rejoiceth the heart, and a good report maketh the bones fat. The ear that heareth the reproof of life abideth among the wise. He that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. The fear of the Lord, here we go again, is the instruction of wisdom. So not only is it wisdom, but is the instruction of wisdom. And before honor is humility. And that is why even Jesus, even Christ himself, washed the feet of the apostles and the disciples. So much so where he says, if you don't know what I'm doing or you don't want any part of this, you don't have any part of me. So honor, before honor is humility. And that is all. Sorry it was long. Try to get through as fast as I could, but hope you guys liked it. I hope it wasn't too skinny and abrasive with that.
No, it was good. Very good.
Thank you.